Okay, thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here and tell you more about the Saimaa seals. I have 2 places to work, and today I'm a representative from the University of Eastern Finland, which is carrying out these Saimaa ringed seal studies. So Saimaa ringed seal is a national treasure in Finland. It's a symbol of the Finnish nature protection, and here we have a seal, marine mammal, within the forest and rocks, and you can see it there, yeah. And so I give first a little bit introduction to the Saimaa seal biology and also the population level aspects, what we have done there. So as you probably well know, it's endemic subspecies, and it's only in Lake Saimaa. It's very small habitat. When you compare with the ring seals living in the Baltic Sea, for example, the young Baltic ring seal can have a double size of the home branch of the Lake Saimaa. So the seals are stuck in the very small environment. And anywhere else in the world except in Lake Saimaa, whole population of the seals and humans are living so near each other. So we have a very small, nice habitat there. Population size was 400 animals. It's slowly increasing. It's still endangered. And the bycatch, mostly killnets, are the problem. And every place have a summer cottage, so there's a habitat destruction and growing climate change. It's extremely poor gene pool. So it's the lowest gene pool among the all marine mammals in the world. It can live up to the 40 years, and it's strongly dependent on the ice and snow as a breeding habitat. And so between Joensuu and Lappeenranta, they are anywhere else in the world. So it's a small population which is relatively well known, and it has been monitored since 80s, and those snow layers are used for the estimation of the population size. So seal make a hole under the ice to the snow drift, and then it makes a layer there and give a pop in the February. And most conservation actions are connected to fishing restriction and water level control. And the studies of our university has focused the most acute issues. And it's nice to say that all the results has always, or almost always, direct implication for the conservation. And so we are focusing on the young mortality, which is caused by the climate change and this killnet mortality. And during these high-tech seasons, it's nice to say that low-tech can be very useful also, because the snow shovels and pushers are the biggest issue what has been done during the last 10 years. Think about over 90% of the pups were born in the snowdrift, which was shoveled by the humans. And I think so this is a great successful story. So we can do something for saving the seals. And the next step is the artificial nets, because we have to think about the situation that we do not have any more ice and snow where the seals could cover these layers. And this is the kind of demanding out-of-box thinking to get the seal to the box for the breeding. And I think so we are already somewhere, because the first pup was born to the we call art nest in the last winter. And so this is the season when this is the snow drift made by the humans, but in the future we don't have those. We might not have even the ice. So we have these kind of floating boxes, and it's against the predation and the cold. So there's a lynx looking for the nest, and there's a pup inside, which is quite nice. So now I look at the subject what I'm talking about today, and I think so that in the Lake Saimaa we already used this principle even before we didn't know about those 3 R's. And I use them a little different way. So I start with the refine, and then I talk about reduce, and then I talk about the replace. So the refining, telemetry studies are the only aspects where we are using the living animals in Saimaa ringed seal studies. And I think so that most of the important restriction areas are based on the results gained from the telemetry studies. So I think so it's a very good reason to do that. And we have a lot of permits. We definitely have. And I think so it's an endangered species because there's a lot of strict permits. And sometimes I have a feeling that the endangered species feel more pain than the normal species, but I'm not sure about it. I'm not a bidder. But the tag size is less than 1% of the body weight, and tag is glued to hair. It's great. It's not a permanent, so it gets rid of very easily. It's great for the animal, but it's bad for the research because the study section, I don't think so, did we ever get the 9 months because it's so short time. And flipper tag, and they are easygoing animals. They are no need to put to sleep, so we can handle them quite easily. We are using the best practices in the capturing and tagging. So the nets are very well supervising all the time. The seal will be captured immediately. Then we handle it. We put the glue, couple of very mild glues there so it doesn't get hot. And then we release the animal as soon as back to the place where we capture it. And size matters. This is the tags when I started doing my master thesis. So there were satellite tag and VHF tag, and I wonder the animal survived. It was alive 20 years after that. But nowadays the tags are much more smaller. I think so. We get the better information, and also the effect for the animals are smaller. And then we are also monitoring the welfare of the animals quite well. So this pup was tagged in 2011, and 2013 it was seen based on the flipper tag, and we can see that nothing is left from the tag and everything is fine. And then we do the reduce approach, what means that we have a modeling approaches, so we use less animals. We can use those data sets what we already have based on the modeling, we can estimate how the animals move. So here are the real movements, and here are the estimations based off the mathematical modeling of the individual-based modeling, and they are quite similar. So I think this is the way to go in the future. And we also have what I didn't remember to say it, so we have a tissue bank. All the animals which are found dead from the shorelines are collected to the tissue banks, and we can also use the information from the dead animals. We don't need to kill animals. But they replace. The photo ID is the biggest adventure what we have had during the last years. So they have a fingerprint in their fur. So every animal has a unique structures. We can identify them as a personal level, and then this data is collected by the cameras, so the humans are not visible there, and of course by normal cameras ordinary. And what is the nice, we have also the citizen science aspect there. So people who are going to seal watching trips, they can take pictures, and then they can download pictures to the Norppa Galleria and get the information who it was, or did they find a new animal even. And of course I think so everybody knows who is the Pullervo, the most famous Saimaa seal, except last year Mona showed up there and released the Pullervo. So it's a live camera which can be seen. And then, as you see, it's amazing data what we can collect from the birth. So this is the twins, what was very abnormal thing. And then, so every year, almost every year, we can see where the animal's going and look at those distances. They exhibit very high side fidelity. So they are there, they are not going anywhere. And then we have a replace also, we have a remote tracking. We can use those same camera traps what we are using for the photo ID. We can monitor human disturbance, how people are going around there. We are looking for the predation. Here the red fox is killing a pup. And then we can see, so there's this raccoon dog what was mentioned to be a vector for all diseases. It is also hanging around near the lairs there. And then, of course, we can monitor the welfare of our own animals there. And in the future, of course, and underwater monitoring is one aspect to go. We can put the hydrophones, and we can listen what is happening there, and we can also get the nice footages on the seals what they are doing. Those are females looking for the camera, and the puppies hanging around there. And this is the way how we go also. It's a non-invasive genetic sampling. Those ring seals are nice animals, just like many other pinniped species. They do not eat the placentas. So it's waiting for there, most of the cases, and we go and pick up there. So not so easily than we do here. We also use scuba diving, and that's the two good options we can make sure that pup was born, and also we get the better estimation of the birth rate. And then we have molted hair from the adult, from the rocks, and then from the pup hair from the layers. But there's one problem, all this, especially with these kind of samples, which have a very low amount of the DNA because this stock is so inbred that it's difficult to get recognition between the individuals or get the pedigrees or anything like that. But when there's a University of Helsinki just carrying out the genome project of the ring seal, we get the genome level information of the seals, and we can compare that information for the photo ID data, and then we can build the social networks, and based on the pedigrees we can know that who is related to each others and so on, and it gives great opportunities for the future monitoring. And then of course, we are trying to look at the environmental DNA, that what we find from the layers. Of course, it can be fine for the hair, but probably we get the information who is related to who and these kind of things. So we have done quite much, but have to say the one issue has to be lately here, very, very acute issue in the welfare of the Saimaa seals, and I think so that we have the same question in the first presentation at the end of the presentation, that what is the welfare of individuals comparing to the welfare of population. And this is something that, at least in the point of us in Finland, we haven't decided, at least in the case of the endangered species, that how we treat individuals. When we think about, for example, the Saimaa ringed seal population, which genetic diversity is very low, it's very fragile for the diseases or something like that. And the other thing, the humans are everywhere. And then, for example, the habituation that they get to use to the people. And so if you are releasing them back to the nature, what's going to happen? Because they start to follow kill nets and these kind of things. And we always have to remember that intelligence level is at least the level of the dogs. So we have this kind of clever animal there with a small system surrounded by the people. And I think so that we have still some issues to talk about, that what we do. Is it the individual or is it the population, or can we somehow balance the thing? And the other thing, those species, how we think about in the world scale, in the global level, we have less and less animals, marine mammals, in the captivity. And now we might have those individuals which we are now transporting to the Korkeasaari Zoo in the future in the captivity. So is this the way to go? And this is no more provocative. I just ask you to think about it. And I think so. That was all. We have a time for the discussion.
Thank you. Very nice, very interesting presentation. And you asked some questions. I can see people are ready to answer your questions, maybe.
Thank you for an interesting. Yeah, it's on. Okay, thank you for an interesting presentation. I was just wondering, you talked a little bit shortly about the inbred situation, and do they have any problems because of the inbred, or are they kind of resistant? Some species are more resistant than others to this.
They seem to be quite healthy, and that's amazing things, because we don't see yet any problems. I'm not the geneticist to tell about it, but for example, results from the University of Helsinki shows that they are quite healthy animals still, even the gene pool is so narrow.
Okay, I'm Birgitta Stav-Larsson from the Swedish Center for Animal Welfare. And I would like to know, you said that the tags, they measure welfare, and which parameters are included in the welfare measurements?
Sorry, I was probably unclear. So we are looking for the welfare of the animals through the camera traps. We see are the animals going okay. And of course we can look at the telemetry tracks, do they behave normally, but we don't have any measurements for the heart rate or something like that.
Over there, please.
Hello, I'm Nina Trontti from Helsinki Zoo, and was discussing about the one Saimaa ring seal that is now in our care. And I think it's really important when you treat a wildlife animal, how you treat the animal. So I think in Sanelma case, the other seal cup case in Saimaa area, the husbandry is a bit different than we have done in Helsinki Zoo. So our main focus in our wildlife animal hospital is to heal the animals so that they can be returned back to the nature. But this issue is a bit different with this endangered species.
Yeah, if I can reply a little bit. The problem is, just open this case for the audience, that problem is that based on the expert opinions, we cannot return the animals which have been taken away from the lake back there. So they are doing excellent work there, but what next? And that's the big step. So because we cannot return them back. And then the Sanelma case means that the animal has been reared there on the lake, hand feeding, and it is habituated for the humans, and I don't see very light future for that animal.
Yes, Sanna Saimaa, still from Helsinki Zoo. And yeah, and that what Nina was telling, that you can do the rehabilitation of the animals right way, or you can do them the bad way.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. And then looking at the camera traps, what do you think the Saimaa seal, the biggest threat for the seal population has been the distemper virus, either seal distemper virus or dog distemper virus. And you can see that if you have this kind of habitat they had with this other seal on the beach of the Saimaa, it's actually the much bigger disease risk than it is in the controlled environment as we have in the wildlife rehab. So there is a lot of things to think.
Yeah, when we think about, for example, the Baikal seal situation, it got the canine distemper virus from the domestic dogs. So it is difficult, and I put that the last sentence there was that the problem of the cute animals. So I have been looking for the situation with the hedgehogs. These are huge places where people are taking care of the hedgehogs. And is it good for the population or not? I don't know, but this is something that we probably need to discuss about in Finland. Okay? This was not the seal subject, but I have studied the hedgehogs too. I like cute animals.
We'll take that another day. Okay, thank you very much.